Okay, so what to avoid in thesis statements, some common errors, and I am getting this. I'm going to give credit to Steps to Writing Well by Jean Wyrick, which is like my favorite writing textbook. So giving credit to the author here. So avoiding errors in thesis statement. Um, One issue to avoid is not making your thesis just an announcement. You should have a clear idea. So for example, she gives an example in this book of what would be considered just to be an announcement is saying, like if you were writing about your experience with your pet boa constrictor, right? So an announcement that's not a clear idea would be, I'm going to discuss boa constrictors as pets. Well, we do know without thesis statement, we know the topic, which is what? Boa constrictors, right? So, but do we know this person's idea about boa constrictors? No, because he or she does not give the idea, right? So we have the topic, boa constrictors. We don't know the person's idea. So you don't want to just say, I am going to talk about boa constrictors in this paper. That's like saying, okay, film at 11, right? This is what I'm going to do. So this is what you gotta go Nike on this. You gotta just do it, right? Don't tell us what you're going to do. Just do it, right? So instead of just saying, I'm going to discuss boa constrictors, then instead you could say this, instead, boa constrictors do not make healthy indoor pets is the rephrased thesis statement. So that is taking a topic. Now we've got boa constrictors, but now we have an idea about that topic. Is that this person thinks that boa constrictors do not make healthy indoor pets. Could someone disagree with that thesis? Yes, probably someone that has a boa constrictor as a pet, right, could disagree with that thesis. Good. So that means you're on track. You have a good thesis statement. It has a topic, it has an idea. Somebody could disagree with it. So it's an idea, it's not a fact. And so to give it equal time, someone could, of course, also say boa constrictors make very healthy indoor pets, right? All right, very good. So again, you don't want to have an announcement, just here's what I am going to do. Instead, think Nike, just do it. Say what you need to say. There's an old song that says that, right? All right, so it says number 2, don't clutter your thesis statement with a lot of unnecessary phrases, such as in my opinion, or things like that. I believe in this essay, I will argue that. So I actually think that does sound like the writer is trying to be very polite, and I really think that's where that comes from. And it is very important to be polite, of course. We don't want to be offensive, really, but there's kind of a middle ground between that, because it actually doesn't sound. It's not that it sounds rude, but it sounds like you're just really uncertain, even though you're saying that you believe this and this is your opinion. Instead, it sounds like you're unsure. It sounds like you're really shy. Well, I don't know. In my opinion, I think this might be. No, just jump out of that, right? Just say what you need to say, right? So just be strong in your opinion. I don't mean strong like offensive, but just come on out, say what you need to say. Give it. I mean, give whatever your idea is, right? You don't need to hide or be shy about it, right? So, for example, instead of, here's one that says, this is an example from this book. It says, my opinion is that the federal government should devote more money to solar energy research. And they're saying that's their opinion. But it sounds kind of like, well, my opinion is, but instead of that, if you just said the federal government should devote more money to solar energy research, boom, there you go. Say what you need to say, right? So what's the topic? The topic is solar energy research. Got a topic. What's this person's idea? That the federal government should devote more money into it. There's that person's idea. So we're okay. We've done our check. You can do a check just like in math, right? You can have a check. So both of those parts are there. Could someone disagree with that? Yes, someone that does not want to devote money to solar energy research, right? So that's a good thesis. We have a topic, we have an idea, somebody could disagree with it. So we're on track. All right, so what's another problem that sometimes folks get into it's the flip side of not being so shy and trying to be overly polite that you're saying, in my opinion, and that sort of thing. It's the other side. It's being unreasonable. You don't want to um, be offensive to people either, because people that are going to read your essay, they might be very interested in your point of view, or they might not know anything about the topic. But if you're making unreasonable claims and making statements that are very offensive in nature, that could actually turn them off, and they're not even willing to read your paper at that point, perhaps. So you don't want to make irrational or oversimplified claims, and nobody, I don't think, intends to do that really. It's just that I think sometimes we just get really emotional about a certain topic, and then we just pour it into that thesis, right? So sometimes you want to take a step back and kind of just remember that you are writing this with your best intellectual self, and it's an intellectual exercise. We can put our emotions into our writing, but it's not necessarily an emotional exercise. So, for example, it says, here's how to not do this. So it says a poor version, someone that went a bit too intense on this, right, is that it says, radical religious fanatics across the nation are trying to impose their right-wing views by censoring high school library books. Okay, so don't call people names. That's a short way to say don't be offensive. If you think that you're not sure if you're being offensive, don't call people names in your thesis. That's very upsetting to someone, right? And then it says, instead, but you can have the same idea. You just phrase it a bit more diplomatically. And it says only local school board members, not religious leaders or parents, should decide which book high school libraries should order. Same idea, but said more diplomatically, with a little diplomacy. So it's a fine line. You don't need to be so shy and hesitant that you're saying, in my opinion, right? But you also don't want to call people names, right? And what if you're like, I'm not sure if that's a name. Is that what they would call themselves? No, probably not. Nobody's going to call themselves a fanatic of any kind, right? So just, but you can say the same idea, but you just want to phrase it with a spirit of goodwill. All right. So what is another issue that can happen with thesis statements is that sometimes people can just state a fact and they're not giving their idea. So that's where they have the topic, but they don't have the idea, right? So these can bleed into each other a little bit. Can be a little bit similar to the idea of just saying this paper is on boa constrictors, right? That's a little bit factual there too. But just saying something like American Independence Day is on July 4th. Well, that's a fact, right? So you can look that up and verify that fact, but that doesn't tell us what the paper is about. That doesn't tell us what your idea is or what your focus is about July 4th or anything like that, right? So you can't just state a fact. You need to have the idea, and it needs to be a focus. What's the focus of the paper, right? All right, and sometimes that needs a little brainstorming. All right, so those are just some things to avoid, but just to recap again, one sentence in usually paragraph 1, could occasionally be in 2, but usually 1. You need your topic and your idea, both elements of that, and it would usually be probably at the end of paragraph 1, could possibly be in another location, but usually at the end. Again, it's the main idea. Thesis statements are the main idea of the whole essay, right? And everything in the essay must support the thesis. And here's our Clifford idea. It's your big dog idea, right, of the paper. All right, thanks, and good luck with thesis statements.